with his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning. It's time for Johnnie Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnnie Walker Dread Show.
That this will basically be a political trial where innocent man is sent for the rest of his life to prison. And look, you could say, hey, why do you care? As a European, like we can send, it's our business who we send to prison and stuff like that. Yeah, well, that would be, like 100%, or it is still. I would not mind that much. But I'm just trying to uncover the truth, So you basically do that, if so, on your true motivate, or you are aware of what you are doing as a nation, basically. But you are the most powerful nation in the world, and I really don't want you to turn into basically dictatorship, because what is the next step if this goes through? Well, political opponents who maybe there's no evidence against, let's maybe manufacture some, basically say there is evidence, etc., etc. It goes, you know what I mean? You have a saying, in for a penny, in for a pound. Well, there you go, like where that would end then.
My interest in this, obviously being from the United States, I have
multiple ones, yeah.
But it's also a case where I see so much idiocy, and especially coming from people on the left, that I have taken an academic kind of interest in this thing. And I think that drives me more than anything else. I like being right, and I like disproving people. I enjoy it. Guess what? I have locked onto this because this case provides me endless opportunities to correct people who say stupid things. And there's an appeal to that for me.
I agree with you. Like we are literally birds of a feather. Like we flock together. Because look, I will say, and this is the thing that kind of is so interesting to me, that people to a degree like care about character, be it like here mine, yours, or even Kyle's. But when it comes to me, I will say I'm kind of a dick. Definitely here and there, like I'm kind of addicted.
I think we all are.
That should not matter to you, because what you should be interested in is if I'm telling the truth, and if I'm making sense. Those are the two only things basically that you should be interested in, and that's where I am basically making my channel, as what I mean, to be focused on these two things. Other things, hey, I honestly don't care what you think of me, So yeah, that.
Well, and I just. When I first started my channel, my idea was to take the most neutral stance as possible, on certain events, and nobody wants that. so over time, I gradually sort of left that, and have become, my bias is pretty clear. Anybody who watches my channel knows that how I'm going to stand on certain things, but I also work on the assumption that it doesn't do any good to present falsehoods when you know the truth is going to come out. And so why not own up to what the situation is now, take your lumps. And so have I made mistakes? Yeah, I've posted stuff up that turned out to be incorrect. I pulled it down. Gage Grosskreuz's felony, for example, is a perfect example. You won't find that video anymore because, in my opinion, I was wrong. He does not have a felony conviction. Therefore, he was perfectly legal to carry that gun. And I will correct people on it quite often. So I at least have that much. But yeah, you're going to see a very pro Kyle bias in what I present. Lump it or leave it. Believe me, there's plenty of people out there bashing Kyle who can more than make up the difference. So it doesn't hurt Kyle to have somebody on his side. Somebody out there willing to speak up for him, and I'll do it.
Okay. I must say, though, well, maybe I didn't notice it that much, because, as you said, what you are saying is, you're trying to be focused on the truth and not to spread any falsehoods, and also maybe like that. But I would basically think of myself as a neutral because I'm actively trying to search basically for evidence kind of against Kyle, basically to prove myself wrong. And well, so far I failed, I must say.
You're more non-biased than me.
Yeah, we could definitely say that. Because look, I guess I don't care about Kyle. I care about what basically it tells. Well, basically how someone can watch those videos and based on that evidence alone come to the conclusion, hey, that's a mass shooter, etc. Kyle is, I will be honest, Colt, I don't care that much about Kyle, even though, like obviously you kind of know him because, what I mean, you are researching and stuff like that, so you to a degree start to
come to know him.
Yeah, so yeah, on that, and obviously I don't want anything bad to happen to him, you know what I mean, but yeah, that's about it. My interest in that is purely like a degree academical. Yeah. 100%.
Well, the other thing about it is that I could see myself being Kyle. Could I have pictured myself where I grew up carrying a rifle over to a piece of property to defend it against a mob out to burn it at 17? Yeah, I could have done that.
Yeah.
I could, in fact, pretty much all of it, everything he did was something I would have done. Would I have walked around yelling EMT, I am medical, acting officiously, as Paige Williams said in her New Yorker article? At 17, yeah, I could have projected. I wouldn't do it today. I'm a little more mature, but at 17, right. Sure, I could have done it. So when I see people wanting to throw this kid into prison for life, I'm thinking, well, I could have been in his situation very easily with all the best of intentions,
right?
And shooting only in self-defense, and I would be in prison, really? So I have a lot more, I would say, an emotional stake in this, in the sense that I really understand Kyle pretty well. I mean, I know what it's like to be 17. I can remember those days. And you know what? I wasn't always doing the wisest things.
Right.
I just, it's like, well, just an example. I'm sorry. But drag racing. I drag raced a lot. Was it always the safest thing to do? No. And I have alluded to one incident that was pretty irresponsible on my part. That could have been very, I would say, tragic.
Right.
So when I hear about kids going out and drag racing, I'm the last person to come in and say, I can't believe that any mature person would do such a horrible thing and endanger lives. Oh, I've done it. Street racing is not something I ever did. And it was something I would not have done at 17 because amongst my friends, we looked down on anything that would have done anything like that. You mean you drag race through the middle of the street with people? Are you crazy? That's our reaction would have been. So when these street racers going around and they're going 120 mile per hour through the middle of a street and they kill somebody, I have far less, I'd say, understanding of that than I would if two guys went out in the middle of nowhere and were drag racing and something tragic happened. I would say, it wasn't very wise, but I can understand how the person didn't intend any harm.
Right. And basically how I connected, because you're right, like I could definitely picture myself basically being Kyle and how I kind of latched right away on his side, if you would, or at least I had an understanding of why he would go there. Because, guys, I don't know if you kind of remember from history and stuff like that, our civilization here in Europe is basically existing just because for thousands of years we were preventing people from burning down our cities. And we are we stayed here because we were the most successful at it. You know what I mean? You don't do that. And I think there's also a big a lot of people who cannot understand that And again, that didn't have to be his motivation to go there and protect the businesses, etc. At the city. I for example coined the possibility that he could have trying to impress a girl. Could be, you know what I mean? But I basically got to that because I love my country. And if someone would try to burn a city, like even on the other side of the country, yeah, you would find me there. If the cops would not be intervening, yeah, you and the cops were not intervening whatsoever. Like,
No.
not at all. And it literally destroys communities. It, like, for example, the alleged person that hired Kyle, well, he's, well, to put it, well, nicely, fucked. And that's putting it nicely. You know what I mean? He's completely ruined. And you know what I mean? I have a connection to my, well, country and my countrymen. And basically, I came from this. And if I may, I was thinking, and there was the one tweet from the I don't know what's her name, but she has the abolish police Twitter handle or something like that. And she was like, "Oh yeah, do you remember the Tulsa riots? You know, like where." Or the not riots, the massacre or something like that. But I know it as Black Wall Street massacre. I think it was in 1920s, right? If I
29, I believe.
Yeah, and basically she was like, oh yeah,
21.
you know, yeah, precisely. People like Kyle went there and burned down the Black Wall Street. And I'm like, no, you got it wrong. It's the opposite, you know, like people like Kyle were defending, you know what I mean, even with the weapon in hand, they were defending their homes. And that's basically, well, if I may, to any person who thinks that Kyle should not have been there defending the property, even if that would be his motivation, etc., you know what I mean, didn't have to be, but let's say it is. Would you say that to a, let's say, black person traveling across, you know, like even the whole country, trying to stop the Black Wall Street from being burned down? Because, you know what I mean? I think a lot of people simply cannot connect with Kenosha. You know what I mean? They cannot apply you know, like basically their hometown, or, you know what I mean? Like they, I don't know, don't love their country, or I cannot explain that. But yeah, there's a strong difference between the basically people in the USA who would think Kyle is guilty and should not have been there, and people here in Europe who say, yeah, he should have been there, very much so.
I'm glad you brought up the Black Wall Street thing, because there's some interesting parallels here. For one, what if you had told a person who was a black person who was discussing the Black Wall Street, you know, terror?
Yeah,
there's no other word to describe it.
Precisely. Yeah.
Well, why did they take the law in their own hands? Why didn't they call the police? What would the response be? Are you crazy? Call the police. The police weren't doing anything. Hell, half the police were probably helping burn down the businesses and stuff. And so, okay, now let's go to Kenosha. Why didn't Kyle just call the police?
No,
the police weren't going to help anybody. You know,
Yep.
If a bunch of black people got together with guns, went out and protected each other's stores, would you call them vigilantes? Well, no, they're protecting stores. Well, then why are you calling the people in Kenosha vigilantes?
Yeah.
You know, so I do say that the Black Wall Street terror was much more extreme than Kenosha. Okay, I get
100%. The severity was definitely higher, but the principle was the same.
The very principles of the fact that when the police have decided they're not going to protect, then who's going to? Somebody had better. Right. Or you have simply given up. And if you're going to sit and watch your neighbor's property just get burned to the ground, you've lost it. You've got nothing left. And this whole thing, well, it's insured. Well, that's a really dangerous path to go down. Animal Kindred, by the way, was not insured. He lost it all.
Yeah.
A lot of people lost everything. The insurance companies, and I've said this in another video, the insurance companies, you're going to find out what's covered after you get, you know, your property's burned down, and you beg the insurance company to please pay for it. And the insurance companies are in the business of not paying you.
Precisely.
So Yeah, so the parallels are there. I think that Kyle and Dominic and them saw themselves as people who are community volunteers to go in there and just try to stop the violence, try to prevent people from being hurt. And to
Okay.
call them vigilantes is, in my opinion, completely untoward.
Mhm. And basically, like, I mean, here's you could say here that you have a bit of a bias because you say basically the difference here is I'm saying it's one of the plausible scenarios, and you say you think that is even that is still better than that is why they went there, as plenty of people would do, which I would hate it. But yeah, you could say there's a bit of a bias there. But basically, well, so first of all, I perceive it absolutely like justified. You know what I mean? For that reason to go there, and there's plenty of the times when people say, oh yeah, because he went there, he put himself in danger situation, etc. You know, like, well, apply it to, for example, the Black Wall Street. You know what I mean? Incident. You would not say it there, but I would also extend it that even if he would went there with the intention of basically killing people, first of all, he went around it absolutely horrendously, if that would be the case. And second of all, when he was running away, he clearly changed his mind if that would be the case. Because, and I would like to basically bring one of your fellow statesmen or something like that, Tiger King, you know what I mean? And when he basically had.
Okay. Wait a minute. So you've learned everything about our court system
No.
from the OJ trial, and
No.
now you're bringing the Tiger King in.
No, no, I'm demonstrating principle. Yeah? But when he basically hired the hitman to kill the what was the cat lady? What was her name?
that bitch Carol Baskins.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
I see.
Just as a little
Whose
tip.
camp
If you
you
can't
are.
remember her name, put that bitch, and then the name will come out much easier. Easy way to remember her name. Carol
I
Baskins.
see. I see in whose camp you are.
Oh, I can't believe you watched that. Your impression of our country must be horrible.
No. Not whatsoever. I'm just bringing a principle.
And that
I
was in
obviously,
Oklahoma.
yeah, and I'm just bringing a principle because the hitman who was the whole time monitored by FBI, I believe, he left the state with the intention, even in his own words, to go to kill Carol Baskin, but he changed his mind and turned around. And he was not charged with, for example, planning murder or anything like that, because he changed his mind. He didn't carry it through. So even if Kyle would go there with the intention of killing people, it would not matter because he ran away.
Yeah. The whole provocation thing is something, by the way, Noah Feldman, the supposed legal scholar, he read the Wisconsin statutes, but evidently he didn't read that part of it. But the fact that Kyle ran away and therefore reasserted his self-defense rights is something that people have overlooked, but the judge is not going to let the jury overlook this. It's going to have to be in the jury instructions.
Yeah, and another thing is, even guys, let's say you provoke somebody, right? You, I don't know, punch someone, yeah, and you find yourself over your head, and you are like, oh crap, I kicked just a literal shitstorm. I'm probably gonna get killed by those 5 guys around me. What should that person do in that situation? Well, run away, right? Because the only alternative is to fight, and well, if it's his life or the other person's life, they will always, like, everybody will choose themselves every time. You know what I mean? So put yourself, if you think Carl is guilty and he even provoked, for example, Mr. Rosenborg and the rest of the group, one of whom was armed, and I honestly think, I suspect that he even pointed the gun at Kyle, that, well, what he should do then in that situation? So either I can stand here, be beaten to death, shoot my way out, or run away. Right. Well, he ran away, and that is, like how it's supposed to be, right?
the other thing that a lot of people don't understand is that when you have two people engaged in conflict, both can claim self-defense. But the average person thinks that, well, if person A can claim self-defense, that negates the other person's self-defense. No, it doesn't. And Noah Feldman made this mistake in his article, lengthy article that he wrote on self-defense. And keep in mind, he is a Harvard scholar of the law, but he has no self-defense understanding at all. Never practiced it. But he even made this claim. Well, why couldn't Gage Grosskreutz be considered acting in self-defense? Well, he can. Let him. Doesn't matter. Doesn't take away Kyle's. But and Noah Feldman would say, what do you mean? Read the statutes. There's no substitute for just cracking open the book and reading, but he didn't. And so, by the way, that whole thing about what Dominique Black and Kyle Rittenhouse did that day to go protect property and, go and deliver first aid was all embedded in a long discussion about right-wing extremism. It wasn't by accident. So she basically, when she does discuss Kyle and what he did, she can be quite accurate and quite helpful, but she embeds it in a bigger context. And so you'll notice she'll start off talking about right-wing extremists. Then she brings in Nazis. She talks about Nazism. And then embedded in that, well, and here comes Kyle and Dominic, and the average person thinks, oh, well, okay. Here they are. Here are the Nazis, the white supremacists.
Right.
She does say that Kyle was not a militia person. She actually does say that.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't do much good if the wider context is all about these right-wing extremists that have come into town to terrorize BLM. That is essentially the coming away of, I would say, message you get by reading the article is that you had Black Lives Matter, some rioting, and she does describe the rioting pretty well. I give her that.
Mm-hmm.
And opposing this rioting are a bunch of right-wing nuts coming in on their trucks and with their American flags, coming out looking for trouble. And oh, by the way, a couple of them were Dominique Black and Kyle Rittenhouse. And that's the message that you come away with. And guess what? That was the message people had when they started reading the article, before they even read the article. So she's playing to the crowd. She's playing to her audience. Her audience is leftist. She is not going to write something that's going to anger them. Strange. Huh. The lights didn't go out. It just got dark. I don't know why.
Well, that's one way how to look at it, but I will give you, vivid, scary one, and I fully aware this is a vivid kind of conspiracy theory, territory. So, but what is scary, it is that it's plausible, and that is that because if she would, as you said, for example, before, that if she would describe their character, the family's character of Rittenhouses, she would literally be unique. There would not be anywhere else on the internet. Nobody has that, basically, to describe that. And so she's actively shooting herself in the foot by not publishing this. And so here's one question: why? As you said, pandering to her audience. That's one. But B, what if, she simply knows there's some rules of the game, you know what I mean? Basically, someone else, basically who she needs to keep happy, etc. You know what I mean? Who literally manipulates the, and I don't mean like someone, like just one, but maybe group of people or something like that. Literal, you know what I mean? Some like evil overlords or something like that. I don't know, basically how to express that. But yeah, what if they are playing a long game? You know what I mean? Yeah,
it had to also come to her mind, if I write what this kid's really like, my impressions of him, she really doesn't know everything about him, but if I write my impressions of him and they're favorable, the jury might read this article and they might let him off. And that had to have entered her mind because this article is going to be read by a few of the jury members. By the way, I don't know if about you, but have you read the New Yorker piece? Might be one of those questions that jurors are asked.
Yeah.
I see your moth is returning.
Got them. I almost got. Yeah, I got it. I stumped it.
You know,
So.
I'm sure that Tim Pool never has this problem, right? Those guys, they're always like, they do these things and nothing ever goes wrong. But I think that she had to have thought, if I write something that shows that this kid is actually kind of sweet-natured, the jurors might read it. Keep in mind, Kyle's not taking the stand.
Yeah.
So the jurors are never going to hear, or they're going to see what was on video, but they're not going to, hear from the trembling little kid. He's 18 now. I get that. Up there, scared, heartfelt. That's going to bring up a lot of emotional response. It's dangerous though to put your person up there on the stand, and the defense is not going to want to do that. But they're not going to hear Kyle talking to them.
Right.
And so they could very well, though, get an impression of Kyle, and she may not have wanted that. Keep in mind, remember what happened when Kyle got a couple of puppies? Do you remember this? Do you remember it?
Yeah. Like trying to, affect
push it out of the brain.
Yeah.
So Kyle, though, and not everybody watching this knows about it, but Kyle's in his safe house, okay? And I think that his Free Kyle USA Twitter account, which is actually, I think, Robert Barnes. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Kyle got a new puppy. I guess they named him Milo.
Right.
And there were some videos of Kyle playing with the puppy, and he posted it on video on Twitter. And the news media went ballistic. They're trying to taint the jury pool. Well, if they're going to react like that to a feel-good, video clip, can you imagine what they would have done to this author if she had put any effort into painting a positive view of Kyle? She would have been castigated something thoroughly. And people say, oh, come on. They don't understand the times we're living in now.
Right.
She would have been canceled. I can't believe that you're defending a murderer. I can't believe that you're writing such good things about a person who just wants to kill people. There would have been a ton of those comments. And the New Yorker might have been canceled over it. Now, of course, the New Yorker would have stuck around. I mean, they're not going to go under,
Right.
but their viewership could have fallen by the wayside over this. So I think that Paige Williams deliberately kept anything out of that article that would have painted him in a real positive light. There is nothing in that article that paints Kyle in a real positive light. Sorry, guys. I know that the pro Kyles out there are saying, all right, we finally got somebody on our side. No, there's nothing in there. She's going to put in some kind of pro Kyle stuff in there and make it look balanced. But no, she didn't do him any favors at all. Nor would she want to.
And that's the, let's say, true danger of the devil. Let's say, they don't lie. They mix, basically they just pick and choose the facts that they want to, and here and there speculate or etc. to basically paint a narrative. And there's one thing that you should be absolutely, even anti-Kyles, please be outraged about this, because they are clearly trying to form your own mind for you. You know what I mean? They are deciding what you will think to a degree, and I would not be okay with that if I would be.
Yeah, they're not going to worry about that too much. As long as those articles keep coming their way that align to their way of thinking, they're perfectly good with that. But I think that everybody's like that. I mean, I can't criticize them for that too much. But by the way, if Kyle had come out and came off as arrogant, you don't think she wouldn't have written that? Oh yeah, it would have been. And by the way, if he did, where do you think the placement of that encounter would be in that article? It wouldn't be at the very bottom. It would have been pretty much the first paragraph. Let me set the stage. I met Kyle, and that little pugnacious little wretch. Oh, now let's talk about where we got. Let's talk about how we got here. So it would have been shoved right up to the top. As it stands, it's at the very bottom, and it's written, in my opinion, the dullest expose that you can encounter. There's almost nothing there. I did learn some new facts, and so I'm glad I'm glad I read the New Yorker article, because I did learn some things that I did not know. I now know a little bit more about the fight. I know a lot more about the dealings with the lawyers, although I have less interest in it. So there is good in that article, and that she does raise to the surface some things that were sort of misunderstood. But if you're looking for a good understanding, a feel for what Kyle was thinking that night, what he's like, forget it. This article has very little of that. Her treatment, though, of his trials and tribulations in growing up poor and having to take jobs was good. She did a good job of that, and I'm glad she did that. At no point does she really emphasize the hardship, though. He took a job as a fry cook to make ends meet. Well, that's a pretty, neutral take. You could have gone off and talked about how a kid at 17 is having to work to make ends meet for a family that has had a lot of trauma, and she really doesn't. So I'm glad she brought it up. But if we're going to have this understanding of what Kyle really faced and what it tells us about him, we're going to have to come with that on. We're going to have to come up with that on our own. She doesn't do it for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could I just, if you are willing to go there, basically, because eventually we would arrive, to that. If why there is a need to basically either absolutely vilify the accused if you basically think he's guilty, or glorify if he is not guilty, and basically we would arrive to if we think Kyle is a hero or not. If you're not willing to go there, basically.
I'm willing to go there, but I'm not really quite sure what. Can you repeat that again, though?
Well, basically, we would eventually arrive to if Kyle is a hero, yes or not. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
In our
I have a
mind.
lot to say about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and because I think it's immensely counterproductive when people call him that, not accurate in my opinion, but hey, to each its own. Yeah, but also why there is this need in US to basically vilify people who we think are guilty, and to glorify people who think are not guilty. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because that's what I see.
So let me start off by those of you who are calling Kyle a hero. Stop it. He did not go there thinking that this is going to happen. If he did, and he walked in there knowing that he was going to get attacked that night, well, that's pretty heroic. Now, of course, that would have made him a little bit more guiltier, but that would have certainly been far more courageous. He didn't think that anything was going to happen to him. I think that he went in there with noble interests, but I think a person who just does good things for people isn't really a hero. So quit calling him a hero. We don't need to turn him into Horst Wessel. And I think you know who I'm talking about, the SA leader who served as a symbol for right-wing fascists in Germany because he got killed and was called a hero. And we don't need that. Leave. And you're just pinning him between the two factions by elevating him to hero status.
Precisely. Yeah.
He's at this point, you're using him as a pawn.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need it.
That too. Absolutely.
He's a kid who got himself into a situation he was not anticipating. He fought his way out of it. He's facing charges. Leave it at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I describe him as just a regular man who did what everyone would do, that is defend his life. Mm-hmm. But hero in my book is not someone who does like basically survives some terrible odds or something like that. Hero in my book is someone who risks his life on purpose for others, basically. And when it comes to him being there in the first place, hey, then if you call, call a hero, then you have to call every person that was there with that intention, basically guard property / like the city. Hero too, because Carl would be in that situation just the unlucky one who got attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
well,
that's
an example of a person who's called a hero.
No.
This Captain Sully, who was an air. Okay, you know what we're talking about. I'll explain anyway. He is a pilot of a large commercial plane, and he ditched the plane in the Hudson River, I think. Mm-hmm. Okay, all survived. Did he do a good job handling the plane? Sure. Was he a hero? No. He's trying to save his own skin as much as everybody else's, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But if he had given up his life for the others, okay, there you go. He's hero in my book. And by the way, he's a man who, in my opinion, makes me sick. I am sick of him. He takes every opportunity to crow about how heroic he is. I do not like him.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sick and tired of him. But a hero, no. And so I think a person that is a hero is selfless. But he wasn't selfless. He's trying to save his own skin. Okay? Hey, self-preservation. I'm good with it. No problem. So, yeah, I mean, was Kyle a hero in that sense? No, I don't think so. I think he was just, I think a do-gooder. Mm-hmm. Okay, but, I think that, again, this whole hero talk, it's really just a reaction by the right wing to get back at the comments made by the left wing. He's a scumbag. Oh, yeah, he's a hero. And so we go back and forth and back and forth. And I really wish they wouldn't do it.
100%. And just quickly with the Captain Sully, I'm kind of fuzzy on English here right now. But is there basically, because in Czech we would not call him like a hero, but someone who is owed a great deal or something like that, who's basically skill, etc. Like saved plenty of people, and then he deserves credit for that. Do you have a word in English for that? Maybe that's,
I don't think so.
Maybe that's the thing, that in English, at least in American one, I bet in British there would be something. And that in American English, that's simply because like he did 100%. Captain Sully deserves like a lot of praise. He absolutely did save, like a lot of lives. But, as I said, like hero is in my book someone who risks lives for others, and puts himself on purpose for example, in harm's way in order to save others. And I could not say that about Captain Sully, but how do you call him then in English?
Yeah, I don't think I know the term. And by the way, I think a lot of listeners will be like really upset that I'm not calling Captain Sully a hero. Whatever, you have your own definition of hero. I have mine, and I'm
there you go. And we just say how we see things, how we feel things. That's in the spirit of both of our channels.
And this is also an example where a person can sort of change people's impression by just how they respond to it. I think I would be more inclined to maybe think him as a hero if he had responded to the media thing, in my opinion, a little bit more, let's say reasonably. Mm-hmm. But he clearly basked in this glory. So whatever the case,
honestly, for me, that's not non-factor at all. Like he can do himself, like he can. You do you basically. It's not that type of scenario.
And by the way, those of you who think that you're going to come away with the impression that Kyle was a hero after reading the New Yorker article, forget it.
No,
she does not present anything there that would indicate that he had the most noble of intentions.
100%. And just basically what you said, that people are not doing him any favors. Yes, because I've seen so many people basically that get convinced that he is some evil wrongdoer just because to balance the opinion of the basically they, and that's wrong too. But there's plenty of people in the United States on the left who, well, if someone is a hero for the right wing, he's automatically villain. You know what I mean?
Right.
For me, and yeah, so good job, pro colors who say that he's a hero. Like, yeah, you did something immensely counterproductive.
And keep in mind, Paige Williams in her New Yorker article is doing exactly this. She is coming out and saying, here's what all the gun nuts,
There you go.
survivalists,
Yeah,
right-wing neo-Nazis are saying about Kyle. And what's the reaction of the reader going to be? Well, he
absolutely.
must, it's going to be extraordinarily negative. And yeah, this article was written for the left. And there's nothing in there that's going to dissuade them. However, there are some good things that come out. One, the whole idea that he drove across state lines, maybe this will put an end to that crap, because she explicitly states that did not happen.
Right.
And I mean, with the rifle. She stated that he drove himself. I thought that his mother still drove him, but well before the riots, took place.
Yeah,
so,
like a day or two, something like that.
Well, he clearly didn't go to Kenosha to go to the riots, whatever the case. And she did say he is not a member of a militia. So those who reading the article on the left at least will learn something there. But they're still going to come away with the impression that that little punk put himself in a position on purpose because he's, a gun-loving, Trump fan-loving right-winger.
Yeah.
And that's the impression that she's painting.
Yeah. And here's the problem basically we face today when it comes to civil discourse on this, is that plenty of people both on pro and anti-Kyle side, they basically see into his head. You know what I mean? They know his motive, because again, it's not like in their opinion, not in their mind. No, this is why he went there, be it pro or against Kyle. And guys, you simply cannot know that. First of all, just even if he said he was there to guard property, you don't know that he's interested party. You know what I mean? He didn't have to be truthful and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't see into his head.
I think that the fairest way to characterize his motivations that night was that, one, why was he there? There are a number of reasons. It wasn't just to go out there to protect Kenosha. Number one was there was nothing better to do. It's a hot August night in Wisconsin.
Right.
Dominique and Kyle, they open the door. They can hear all of the commotion. That's exciting. And here's an opportunity to sort of be a part of it. So I don't think there's no doubt in my mind that they went there because there's a little bit of an excitement to it. Okay. Number two, I think that there was a little bit of an opportunity to take some, videos of themselves and post it on social media to get a few commendations. Hey, great job, guys. All right. It's good to see that somebody's protecting our community. There's an opportunity there for some of that. Yeah. And I don't doubt it. That's not the most noble of reasons. Neither of those are the most noble of reasons. Yeah. However, they're not negative. I think that there's also an element of community duty. I think that Kyle especially is one that kind of feels good when he's out there helping people. And that can also have I wouldn't say a negative connotation to it, but it's not always the most noble, For example, I would ask, if you weren't going to be given any notoriety for what you're doing, would you still do it? I mean, how many times do you see on Facebook, like, here I am helping an old lady across the street, like, if your battery was out in your cell phone, would you still help her across the street? No.
That's a really cynical way how to look at things, but okay, I get it.
Yeah. And so there are two people. There's the ones that take and videotape somebody else doing something good, and there's the other ones who videotape themselves doing something good.
Right.
And neither one of those is really necessarily better than the other. And so I think there was opportunity for them to sort of garner some goodwill amongst some of their friends. I think there was still an element, though, that they felt that they were really doing something good, that they really wanted to help Kenosha. And their true motives is a mix of all of those. I
Right.
don't think that they had an ounce of any intention of hurting anybody.
No.
I don't think that was in line.
And
In other words, go ahead and finish this song. I don't think Kyle ever was hoping somebody would attack him.
yeah, because if there are anything else who think no, what Johnny Walker Dredd just said, it's absolutely not true. No, Kyle was hoping. Why was he running away? He could, why was he not shooting more people, etc., etc., etc.? I can go down, for so many.
Yeah. I have the Kyle Rittenhouse challenge. For those of you who think that he went there because he really wanted to provoke violence, I have the challenge. I have like 10 questions. And I watch the video and I ask a question. Why did he do this if that was really, truly his intent? And I'll give you one example, readers out there. There's a moment in time where he tries to get past the police barricade and go back to the garage where Dominic is.
There you go.
Why would he do that if he was really there to hurt people?
100%.
Because once he passes the police barricade, there's no more rioters. And let's face it, I think he was wanting to go home.
Yep.
And, I think he went out looking for people that were hurt because he wanted to bandage somebody. I think it made him feel good about what he's doing. Plus, there's a little bit of notoriety. He knows people got their video cameras on him. And so here's a local boy doing good. That had to have been part of the appeal, but that's not negative. That's mostly positive. And I think he was a little disappointed that his services were not needed more than he thought. He did do some. He did. At least there's one on videotape that we know he did where he helped a BLM protester. How much is not clear. And Ryan Balch also claimed that he and Kyle helped another one. So he was willing to do it. And I have a feeling that he was a little disappointed that as he was walking around that there weren't more injured people for him to help. And I think he finally decided, I'm just going to go home. This is, this is getting kind of boring. Because if you look around, all the commotion had kind of died down by that time. And I think he was just going to call it for a day. But if he was really out there looking to provoke something, there's no way he would have wanted to go behind that police barricade. Impossible.
Right.
And nobody that has ever watched that video of mine has ever answered those challenges. We had one guy who answered like first three rather inconsistently, but quit. And I play the video and I say, why is he doing what you're seeing he's doing here? So there's no game here. It's legit, and nobody's been able to answer it. The opportunity for him to, by the way, to escalate was when Mr. Yellow Pants tried to get into a verbal argument with him, and he didn't. He just walked away. Good luck trying to explain that, and the jury is going to see that. By the way, that will be shown.
Yeah, 100%. And that's far more, instances where he could have, escalated or, basically shoot more people, for example, or, start shooting sooner. For example, right when Mr. Rosenbaum started to chase him and stuff like that, he could have turned sooner and stuff like that, but he turned only after someone else fired first shot. I don't know if that was because of that, but, can you say it wasn't? And we are supposed to operate on the principle of presumption of innocence. So that's
in his mind at 17, he could have probably shot 3 more people, and in his mind would have thought he could have got away with it.
Yeah, if he would honestly wanted to kill people,
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's running away and there's people running by him. There's probably dozens of people running right by him. He has no interest in killing anybody. He's trying to get to the police.
Yep. And sorry.
No, go ahead. And that's one of the challenges. I say, why didn't he shoot people right there?
And also, another case is Mr. Gechigoroshkrois. He could have shot him 2-3 more times because, he incapacitated his arm at that moment objectively, but he could not have known that at the time. You know what I mean? He still had his firearm in his hand. He could have, put 2-3 more rounds into him. It would be completely justified. And also the person, right after he fell, there were two people that were charging him. He could have shot them too, and he didn't. Because when they stopped, put their hands up and backed away, he didn't shoot them. You know what?
And here's the interesting thing about it is a lot of the people that are criticizing him for being a murderer would have probably shot more people than he did.
Yeah, quite possible.
If you haven't handled weapons much and you get in a situation where you're being attacked, after you fire that first round, it becomes really easy to keep firing.
Yeah.
And you could talk to any cop and they'll tell you the new police officers are especially prone for this. And that is the mag dump. They start pulling the trigger and they just keep pulling the trigger. Right. And so a lot of the people who criticizing him for killing anybody would have killed more people that night. And I'll be honest with you, I think if it had been me on that ground, Gage would be dead. I'd have killed him.
Yeah, quite possible.
And not because I'm a violent person or because I want him dead, but the environment that I would have been under, the stress and the strain, especially Gage pulls a gun on me. Oh shoot, I would have smoked him. That I would have blown parts of him into another zip code, no problem. So, and again, it's not because I dislike Gage or want him dead or anything like that. It's the way it is. So the trigger discipline on Kyle is truly, in my opinion, impressive. And going back to the New Yorker article, any number of firearms experts could have told Paige Williams, this is pretty good. She didn't ask any of them.
Yep, there you go. It's horrendous, and basically my like interest in this is that a lot of these cases, these high-profile cases, they then influence basically laws, be it self-defense, gun control, etc., etc., etc. Yet the discussion is being driven forward by people who have absolutely no understanding how real life situation works. Like there are basically educations, are movies, video games, and it's just about it. And then laws and the regulations that don't make any sense are being passed, and it costs lives of innocent people. And so basically my argument here, what I'm trying to say is that there's this prevailing culture when it comes to shooting, self-defense, etc., some fight, I don't know, whatever. They don't invite experts. They themselves, the journalists, become experts. They put forward their opinions, they comment on it and stuff like that. It's immensely wrong.
Yeah, and another thing is they just cannot place themselves in a situation where they were under that kind of strain. And so they pretend that they pretend like what they would have done. And I only would have needed one bullet. The first bullet really took him down. So why would I continue firing? Try it sometime. And these people come in, I'm sure, to the police academies every year, and they end up mag dumping the first person they have to. Of course, not using live rounds. And during the training exercises. And I'm sure that your police people are going to say, yeah, the new ones, they come in and they just keep unloading. And because they have never been in a real stressful situation before. Right. And so we pretend that we would have been Cool Hand Luke, right? Right. I am under no pretenses. I don't know how I would react if a real dangerous situation came up, because I've never had to do it. And I will find out that day when it first happens. I've had some cases where I thought it might come to pass, but it never has. Thank God. But yeah, I will. And these people out there like Paige Williams and all that, and all these experts like Noah Feldman, you haven't been in this situation before. Noah Feldman, you've probably never held a gun. And you probably have never had your apartment broken into. He comes from I can guarantee he comes from a rich upper crust family. He's probably never had any strife, I would say violent strife, in his life at all. And yet here he is telling us what you should do in these kind of situations. And
And what I hate about it is that a lot of times it is simple to basically test. You know what I mean? It's not that hard to basically, hey, just go either to a gun range or something like that and figure it out how hard it is to, for example, shoot pistol, try to hit moving target, like legs or something like that. What they a lot of times, basically say, hey, just take a few bowling pins, tie them to a rope, let them swing and try to hit it. You will see how hard it is to basically hit a target, and they don't do it, and that's like so.
I think that one of the when you take people out to the gun range for the first time, they're very astonished how hard it is for them to hit the target. Like it's just aim, you get on and you pull the trigger, and then they look at, well, shoot, none of my bullets hit the paper at all. What happened to them? Well, they missed. So a lot of people have also inflated senses of just what a person can do. I think that it's truly amazing that Kyle got so many of his shots on target. By the way, I think he may have shot that one drop kick man. I think he may have landed one of them. I think he blew a toe off or something. He's limping around, and I have a feeling it wasn't because he sprained his ankle. I think Kyle shot him. And why he doesn't show up in like in a hospital, I don't know. But I have a feeling Kyle might have landed one of those bullets on him. But we'll see. We may not see. I don't know if they've ever identified him.
Yeah. Also, and I just like what you said about basically the shooting guns, and stuff like that. Not that long ago, I took a friend of mine to basically a gun range, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm missing all my shots and stuff like that, like to the right."
Something wrong with his gun.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And basically, I was like, "Oh yeah, right," And she was we were shooting pistol, and she was wrapping her finger all the way around the trigger. What I mean? And it was still
pulling it.
To pulling it to the right. Yeah. So right. You need to put it. You just you need to pull it with tip of your finger and stuff like that. So that was that. And there's so many more complexities, like to shooting guns. And everybody's like, oh yeah, you just like. Boom, the guns are just this magical boomstick. They do what I precisely want them to do. You know what I mean? And it's like, no.
And you look at the police. What's the percentage of bullets that they actually put on target? It's ridiculously bad. Oh, they miss a lot. And I would suggest maybe 1 out of every 6 might actually hit what they're trying to hit.
Here and there, yeah, definitely. Sometimes, then you have those like insane super cops that, for example, I forget where it was, but the father was actually holding baby as a hostage, and a gun.
Oh yeah.
And the police officers with AR-15 shot him from like, I don't know, what was it, 30 yards or something like that. By the way,
we have one here in Tulsa.
Yeah,
they shot across. I think it was, I don't recall.
Yeah, across the highway. Yeah.
So there are some instances of that, but what we often see is, officers having to shoot for the first time. Because let's face it, police don't go out and shoot people every day. It's actually really rare.
Yeah.
I think that Rick Gore on the channel Good Luck America. Mm-hmm. He's a 30-year veteran, and I think he said that he's never actually shot anybody.
Okay.
And so if you see a shooting on video, that's probably the cop's first time. And what you often see is absolutely terrible gunmanship.
Sometimes so.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah. Tell you what, we've been at it for about 2 hours, and I think I'd like to go ahead and kind of mosey on. I want to get some of these other videos out.
Right.
And so are we good maybe stopping now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Could we just, just a few questions upon, that don't have to get into the video, you were asking me who, or, if I have the video of basically the girl hitting Kyle first and stuff like that on Twitter. Did basically what I told you help, or?
The girl hitting Kyle first? You mean in that schoolyard, not schoolyard, waterfront fight?
You asked, you told me that someone contacted you that if I don't have, video of basically Cal being hit first or something like that on Twitter, if you remember. And I told you that, no, I basically just deduced that the girl hit someone at first, because the commentary the gentleman, provided. So
Yeah. I don't know if you're asking me if I have the video. No.
No. You asked
Okay.
me on Twitter in DMs. You sent me a DM, telling me that someone asked you if perchance I have that video.
Oh, I see.
If it exists.
And the answer is?
Well, no, I don't have the video because I don't know if it exists. But I told you that basically, what I told you, was that the guys said these things, etc. And if that helped that person at all.
Yeah, I think I have seen pretty much all the footage available. I can't make heads or tails of what happened.
Yeah. Okay. No, but
really
also who was asking you? If I have the video.
I don't recall. Yeah.
Okay.
And you had another question?
Yeah. There's God damn it. One more thing. Basically with sweating out these videos and stuff like that, because I have problems with. I actually figured out that this format is what really suits me and stuff like that. Basically this how podcasting and stuff like that. If we could kind of split it, be it halfway. That you, for example, take the first half and I publish the second, because I think it's bullshit to basically, if we both publish all of it. You know what I mean? Then it dissipates. You know what I mean? So if
right. Well, I tell you what. If you want to give me the timestamps where you want it split, splitting it's easy. What takes up my time is watching through and trying to figure out where I want to cut it.
That's not what I mean. That's what I mean. But if we could basically, you would have, I don't know, for example, the first half, of this talk, and I would have the second half, kind of exclusively. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. So you want to avoid both of us posting the same video.
Right. Yeah, because it takes, I'm so busy, and it takes, the editing and stuff like that. It takes so much time, of my day. So I'm basically having problems to spread out content,
Yeah. By the way, this last one, I simply forgot that I had that other one to do. I remember. You don't know how many projects I have lined up. I mean, it's just incredible. So that was just me forgetting about it, but I did post it, by the way, today. I'm willing to go along with anything you want me to do. Like you say, the only thing about it is watching the thing to determine where I want it cut is where it drives me crazy. So if you want to go through and play it and say, can you slice it up here, here, and here, and here? I can post those things up individually. And then maybe if you want to post some of the sections on yours, and I'll pick some of the others and put on mine, however you want to do it. I'm good.
Basically I was saying, if you could have, let's say, the first half, you know what I mean? And I would have the second half, kind of. You know what I mean? You publish the first half, of the whole, and I publish the
that'd be hard with me, sure.
Yeah, if you're okay with that, because I think that's objectively fair in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And by the way, when you just said with the content, I, for example, have both shot the footage and stuff like that with my nephew. You know what I mean? And I had to ask him a few things, and what might interest you. He full on said, yeah, if I would be in Carl's situation, I would be scared. You know what I mean? Like, honestly. And I was like,
yeah, I think so.
Guys, there you go. From mouth of babes, like the truth, right? You know what I mean? And we did some, stuff around, some fooling around with his airsoft gun and stuff like that. But basically, we demonstrated how it works. You know what I mean? But I still have the footage. I don't have time to basically process it right now. So I follow.
And by the way, now the whole thing is Rosenbaum and Huber were scared. Oh, they sure didn't seem like it. Scared of what?
Yeah, I said that.
I'm scared of something to chase it. Like when I see a bear, I don't chase the bear.
Yeah.
I mean, running away from the bear is not necessarily a good thing, but you don't chase after it. So anyway, so what do you do in the DM? Describe to me exactly what you want me to do, and I'll just do it.
Yeah, just basically publish on post up unpublished, YouTube video, the whole thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. I go through it, and I, for example, somewhere halfway, I say, okay, here, that makes sense to cut it, something here. You basically publish that half, the first half, and if then I could publish the second half.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll trim the the first and last parts off of this one,
Right.
post it up on a private thing for you to download or view.
Right.
Then you tell me what you want me to do.
Yeah. Okay.
That sounds good.
Basically.
Okay, I better get going now. Got to get a lot
Okay.
of work done.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Take it easy, Paul. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
And by the way, should we, and even though I can edit out what we did so far, any final comments to your readers?
My final comments to basically.
Probably not readers, but any final comments to the viewers that you want to post in?
Well, I would like to basically thank all of you who's continuing to watch me and basically kind of cares what I have to say, because that's nothing small to me that people mostly from the United States, from the opposite side of the world, care what I have to say. That is great. It means a lot to me, honest to God. So, yeah.
And my final comments is go and look up our channels. Paul has a really good channel, Logical Checkmate. Got lots of really cool stuff on there. If you're interested in the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, you got to be subscribing to my channel because it's loaded. So with that, yeah, thank you for listening in. And until next time.
See ya, guys.